Hello and welcome to my video today. We are going to be lighting up a Fisker emblem, specifically the rear emblem on the liftgate of the Fisker Ocean. This one is a spare that I got for testing, and we are going to be using this kit today that I received from FiskerOceanMods. This says it's a rear Fisker logo harness install video. If you put your camera on that QR code, you can get an installation video for this. But if you follow my video today, it'll be just as good. So we are going to open this up and check it out. This small little adapter here will convert the standard lighting to this new lighting, which allows this emblem to stay lit whenever you have the parking lights on or the headlights on. Traditionally, this logo only turns on when the car is in the unlock sequence where all the lights turn on, and then it will be off otherwise. So it's kind of a waste to have this nice lighted emblem and not be able to show it off. So this adapter lets you do that. And it lets you do that on all the trims. You can do this on the One, the Extreme, the Ultra, and the Sport. So what we're going to do is install this into the rear liftgate. There's a panel that we have to lift up and access, and let me show you how to do that right now. So this is the emblem that we're going to be modifying today. It's on the liftgate right here. So I'm going to open it up and get access to the panel that's right underneath here. To make this a little bit easier, you don't have to have the liftgate fully opened. You can actually lower it a little bit. I'm going to push it down manually so that we can see the area that I want to show you in detail. I'm sure you've seen in plenty of my videos that I like to use these plastic trim tools or pry bars for doing modifications on the car. So what we're going to do is this panel right here is what we're going to loosen up. So we're going to stick this in between the metal of the liftgate and this plastic trim here, and we're going to unsnap some of the clips to get access. We don't fully need to take this off, but we need to get it low enough so that we can reach our hand in to insert the adapter. There was one clip, there's another clip, there's a third clip. Fourth clip, and I'm going to zoom in to show you what I'm looking at here. So I pulled down the trim a little bit, and right near the liftgate open and close button, you can see through the opening there. So the connector is in two pieces. The part on the left is what we're going to be pulling out. So when you place your hand in here, there's going to be a little tab below those wires that you're going to press on, and then the clip will detach. Right here, press on the bottom, comes right out. So what we're going to do is we have our adapter here, and the male end of this cable will go into the female part of the adapter. So I will insert that now. You will hear it snap into place. And then the other end, you're going to have facing in this direction. You're going to insert into the original connector that's on the car. So right like this. And then slide this in. And it will also snap into place. And that is it. We have the new adapter placed in between the original connector that's on the car and then the connector that leads to the light itself on the liftgate. So now the adapter is inserted inside here, and we can take this trim piece and then reattach it to its original position against the liftgate metal right here. So what you need to do is make sure the trim clips are lined up with the holes that they're going to be going into, because they may have shifted a little bit. For example, on the right here, I'm going to adjust that, and then I'm going to just push in each one of these trim clips one at a time. Corner one, and then the middle ones here. So you may have about 4 or 5 of these clips detached when you're installing this. Now they're all back into their original position. Let's now lower the liftgate and see what it looks like. I dimmed the lights in the garage so that you can see this emblem much easier. Let me go in, unlock the car, and step on the brake pedal to turn it on. I have my lights set to auto, and you also could set them to parking or manually to headlights, and you will have this lit up. So right now the car is unlocked. If I press the lock button, we should see everything turn off. And that is how it's supposed to work. If I press unlock, we'll get the light show effect, and then this will turn on also, but it will stay on if the headlights are on. Now I'm going to show you a modification that we can do on this rear light that will make it legal in most states in the United States, whereby lights on the rear of the car have to be red. So the white on here is not legal to have while you're driving. So I am going to modify the emblem, and I'll show you how to do that. So here is a spare emblem that I have that I purchased on eBay, and I'm going to use this as the demonstrator of how to install this tint on the emblem. And you can do the same process on the one that's on the car. It's just easier to film this on my workbench. Some of the things you're going to be needing today are a heat gun, a utility or Exacto knife, and also the tint itself. This is a roll of VViViD Air-Tint, and this is dry apply, which means you don't need to have any water solutions in installing this, so it goes straight on the product without wetting it down. So the instructions said to clean the item, measure the amount you're going to use, peel and stick, apply and heat, and then trim and detail. So that's what we're going to be doing. So on this roll, I cut out a 5" by 5" piece here that is larger than the emblem, so it gives me some room to work on it. For cleaning the surface, I recommend using isopropyl alcohol and a cloth, and I'm going to do that right now. And we just want to make sure that the exterior doesn't have any contaminants on it, and it is as clean as possible so we get maximum adhesion of the tint to this emblem. Now we're going to take the tint and we're going to go on one corner of it and peel off the protective paper backing on it. And as you can see, it is translucent. We're going to place this over the emblem like this, fairly centered. These kits usually include some sort of squeegee that you can apply the vinyl to the surface and then try to get all the bubbles out. So we'll be doing that right here. So I am going to press down, and there's no major bubbles here. Now what we're going to be doing is using the heat gun to slightly warm up the vinyl so that it will follow the curves and creases of the underlying emblem. So I'm going to be doing that right now. Maybe a little bit noisy, and I'll try to turn that sound down. I'm going to try to work in the vinyl into these creases here. It's important to take your time doing this. You don't want to rush it. So the goal is to get this as smooth as you can around the surface so that it lays flat on here. What we're going to do is we're going to test it to see how red this looks with the tint on. I may need to do a second layer if it's not dark enough. Before I do any trimming, first thing I need to do is hook this up to the light fixture of the car so I can see how bright it is. All right, I attached it temporarily to the front of the car, and here is the tint on it compared to the white on the lights in the front. It is definitely got a red on it, but I don't know if it's dark enough. I may have to do a second layer of tint on this. Now let's look at the emblem, and it's now coated with 2 layers of the red tint. And as you can see, compared to the white of the ocean lettering, it's definitely red. I think doing 2 coats of tint is the way to go. And you could possibly do a 3rd layer if you really want. So what I'm going to do now is I have 1 layer of the tint right here. I'm going to apply a 2nd layer to it. I figure it's easier to do the 2 layers, one on top of each other, and then apply the combination to the emblem itself. And that one I'm going to apply to on the car, so you'll see what that looks like. So what I'm going to do is remove the paper underneath, and then apply this over like this. I'm going to use the squeegee and flatten it out. And the goal here is to get the center of this flat as possible. No air bubbles, which it looks pretty good. So these edges here really don't make a difference, and I can remove this tape now. In fact, if I wanted to do a 3rd layer, I could do a 3rd layer at this point too. So the first thing we need to do is clean the surface. I'm going to use a towel along with some isopropyl alcohol. All right, it is clean now. I'm going to apply the tint to it, so I have to peel off the backing tape. Then I'm going to apply it to the center like this. And what I'm going to do now is apply some heat. I'm going to start in the center area. Now I'm going to press down on the tints and get any bubbles out. You can also get some help with the squeegee. All right, so when you heat up the vinyl, it allows you to push it around the curves, and then when it cools, it will lock into place. So I would let this cool down, And then what we're going to do is we're going to trim the circle around the outside edge with the utility knife, and that will leave the silver ring around the outside of it, and I think it'll give it a nice clean look. All right, now we are ready to peel it back. Some sections I may have to trim a little more. All right, so I got the outside of it done. You may need to take the squeegee and smooth it out. And any cuts that you didn't make cleanly, you can just go over it again. So here's the final look of the tint on the emblem. Granted, it's not perfect. I probably could do it again and use a steadier hand to cut it, but I think from a couple feet away, nobody is going to notice. Okay, I have the lights set to auto, and you can see the headlights on. If I go to the back, you'll see the brake lights. And now you can see the Fisker emblem. Now, one thing I must say that when you're cutting this out, make sure you leave a tiny bit on the silver part if you can. If you cut a little bit into the corner, you will see some white shining through like I did right here. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to take this off and redo it so that this whole area here will be consistent. So when I look at this side worked out really nice. It covers it well. There's no white shining through. So I got to make sure when I cut this to get a little bit on the silver part, and then no white will be shining through. So I'm going to redo this again and try to cut this a little bit better so that it looks more even. As you can see here, I cleaned it up a little bit. I added an extra layer on here, and it seems a little bit better. I'm sure with some practice I could make it perfect, but this is about as good as it's going to get for this video. Here's a final view of the rear of the car, and you can see that the emblem blends in well with the other red lights. If you're interested in this lighting adapter for the rear emblem, please see the link in the video description, and you can purchase it from Chad's FiskerOceanMods Etsy store. It was an easy installation, and with this red tint mod, you can be legal in those areas that require the rear lights to be red and not white. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.